Welcome to Townsfolk Tussle. Round number 3, we're going to the Troublemaker fight. And we're going in pretty strong. That last fight against Virginia Fitz turned out pretty well and went a lot smoother than even the chump level of Umbrella. So hopefully we can keep that momentum going. Hopefully have a town event phase that doesn't really screw us over. And hopefully we can upgrade maybe Quintus's weapon and find some head and chest gear for Granny. Because we do have some weapons we can sell as well. Georgie, I think, needs a headgear, potentially something that can give him some accuracy. That could be pretty useful. At the end of the last fight as well, I didn't record it, but I have got rid of any unaccomplished feats I do not want. I actually, Georgie kept all of his, so he still has Learn from Mistakes, Like an Ox, and Unshakable. Granny, I decided to get rid of all of hers because all of hers are pretty difficult to get. Interact with, which is multitasker, interact with a terrain piece and attack the ruffian on a single turn. She only has 2 Moxie, and she so far doesn't have any items that give her more Moxie, so that's a pretty difficult one to get. Cherish, if you are healed by another townsfolk, achieve this feat. We have no one that actually does any healing at the moment, at least for other characters. And Eagle-Eyed, and a town phase with +1 accuracy or higher, which is pretty difficult for her because she starts at -2. So I decided to get rid of all of those and draw 3 new ones for Granny. So we have Grand Sacrifice, get knocked out by a terrain piece, willingly or unwillingly. So I mean, maybe if we like blow ourselves with dynamite or something like that, we can potentially do 2 damage to the ruffian or get 4 coins. We have Untouchable, complete a fight at your max HP. Probably not going to get that one. And an Eye for Loot, which is gain a piece of gear from a terrain piece, which is pretty easy to do, and we can actually get an accuracy from that. And then we only had to draw 1 for Quintus. I kept his as well, so he still has Cocky Marksman, Survivor, and now he has Food Fighter, which is a consumable. I'm pretty happy with his Bloody Badge, but if we find a good consumable to use right off the start, we can get a pretty easy damage on the ruffian or get 2 coins. All right, that is going to do it for that. So then we are going to move on to the third town phase. And we are going to draw our, we have to change the turn order. So Georgie goes to the bottom and Granny moves up to the top. So Georgie is going to resolve the first town event. Paperboy. Amidst the chaos, the local paperboy is still working his corner. Care to purchase a copy? If you don't pay anything, you choose not to buy a copy, nothing happens. You can pay 2 coins. Georgie only has 6 because he's pretty poor right now. You roll and add your accuracy, which is pretty difficult for Georgie because he has -1. On a 1 to 4, it's just a bunch of filler stories. What a waste. On a 5 to 7, you get to reveal a ruffian of your choice on the town map. And 8 or higher, wow, a coupon for the Peddler Shop. Keep this card in front of you. The next time you purchase a piece of gear from the Peddler, it costs 5 coins less. Discard this once activated. To be honest, I don't really care too much about revealing a ruffian because it might end up being a ruffian that I haven't fought before, which it wouldn't. So that wouldn't really help me in determining what I should buy for the town or for the gear phase. And to get an 8 or higher, I have to roll a 9 on the dice with Georgie. So I think we're gonna pass. Sorry, Paperboy. Don't really care about the news right now. All right, it's I mean, at least nothing bad happened, Georgie. That's all I care about. I just don't want anything bad to happen to my characters. Next up, we have Quintus Binch. Harold's Thrifty Outfitters. You mosey into the Eureka Springs discount store hoping to find a good deal on wares. The store clerk Harold offers you quite a lucrative trade. You may discard 1 piece of gear. If you do, you receive the first card from the peddler deck with the same type gear as the discarded card, which is head, chest, leg, weapon, special, or accessory. Keep that piece of gear and put all other revealed cards on the bottom of the deck. So I could take a really risky move and discard my Mugger's Bat because it can be a starting piece of gear, which is nice. But I could end up with a really bad weapon, a weapon that I can potentially not even use because there are like 3 or more Moxie weapons. I could also discard my Mousetrap Strap, which I don't honestly really need, but I would hopefully find something better than my Boot Topper. The 2 movement is nice, especially since Craggy Trousers is already giving me -1 movement, but there are some pretty good headpieces out there. I could also even get rid of Virginia's Locket if I want to try to find a special gear, but there are also a lot of really useless special gears. So I think we're gonna discard the Mousetrap Strap, and we are gonna try to find a really good headpiece for Quintus. All right. Let's fingers crossed. All right, we are losing the Brass Knuckle, the Nudist Sword, that's fine. Turtle shell is a chest gear. Lover's patch is an accessory. Vanishing cream's an accessory. Straw pants. Detective's cap, this is a headgear. So those go on the bottom. So it's 6 coins. It is +1 to terrain rolls for each point of HP you are missing. I mean, it's about as effective as the mousetrap strap, to be honest. So I mean, once we're injured and we really need to clutch it with a certain terrain piece, like dynamite or something, it could actually be useful. So that wasn't the worst thing. Worst case scenario, it's worth one more coin if we sell it than the mousetrap strap. So overall, good. Look, we're doing well. We're doing well. Let's keep it going. All right, we got Granny last. Oh boy, excommunicated. So I know what this card is, and I'm not very happy about it. Terrible news. The residents of Eureka Springs found out about that thing you did. You thought you buried the past, but now you've been outed for your terrible crime. You know the one. Shame on you. As a result, the town demands you to be exiled. You must become a new townsfolk, not currently in play. You lose your starting gear and gain the starting gear of the new townsfolk. However, you keep any non-starting gear, town events, feats of metal, and coins you have collected. Well, luckily we have some really good non-starting gear items. So whoever we choose, we can potentially still be fairly effective, but we do lose our hefty range damage dealer, but it's not the worst thing in the world. We do have some ranged weapons already, so we could turn someone else into a ranged person. There are other options out there, so I'm actually not too disappointed. This one could be pretty bad though, depending on if you've built your character in a very, very specific way. This could actually potentially screw you over, especially if you're like maybe playing the Blopsy twins and all you have is instruments, and you have to swap to someone that doesn't use instruments. All right, so sorry, Granny, you did something bad and we're gonna kick you out. So I'm going to make a little cut here. I'll decide who I wanna bring in. All right, we are back. We have kicked Granny out of the town and we brought in Yancey Plover. So the reason I went with Yancey, it was actually pretty tough to decide. Norman's a pretty good all-rounder, but unfortunately because we mostly just have ranged weapons with the stuff that Granny left over, it doesn't utilize his abilities to the fullest because he gets +2 range on melee weapons, but not on ranged weapons. Additionally, I was thinking about Henlo because it would be nice to have some healing, but she only has 2 Moxie, and I wanted someone that actually had 3, and the other option was Blopsy twins, but she essentially would have a full hand of stuff that, especially with the instrument, that I would want to keep on. And the nice thing about Yancey is Granny didn't have a chest piece, so we actually get a pretty useful one, which is Smithy's Apron. So once per fight, we can prevent all damage dealt to Yancey for an action. He also can help tank and just distribute damage. And the Mr. Horseman that Granny left behind actually fills one of the weaknesses that Yancey has, which is initial really low starting movement of 3. So now he actually has 6 movement, so he's a lot more effective. Additionally, he will be able to have 3 Moxie, which means he can use the Sure Shot crossbow and the Springy Wand the same turn, or he can use his ability Frantic Fighter and Springy Wand. And the Frantic Fighter essentially lets him force the ruffian to attack him if it targets a single target. Otherwise, he can actually get even more movement if it targets multiple people. So I just felt like with the gear that was left over, Yancey was the most effective choice. If we can maybe find a headgear piece or an accessory that boosts his health, I think we're really well set up for the next fight. So it sucks to lose Granny, but luckily Sure Shot crossbow, like, you don't need any accuracy to hit. You hit on anything but a 1. And Springy Wand on a 4 or higher to hit is still pretty decent, even with someone who doesn't get the far-sighted ability like Granny had. So that's why we went with that. Let us also get Yancey's icon and get Granny out of there. All right, so that was the last town event. So it wasn't the worst thing. It's difficult to say whether or not that was like a bad thing that happened, or it might actually be really beneficial. I guess we'll see in the next fight. Otherwise, that's gonna do it for the town phase. So now let's move on to the buying phase. And hopefully we can get some good stuff. This is where gear really, really counts going into the third fight. So we have the Knifey Knuckle. I've never seen that one before. Banner of Unity. So this is another secret item that I got for doing the special objective and fight for Samuel Strawman. It's the item that actually officially lets you trade items amongst players, and you can actually buy it collectively because it costs 20 coins. But I don't really want to use all my coins on that, especially this late in the game. But it's pretty cool that we drew it. We have Martyr's Wand, another item I haven't seen. Sandals, pretty low cost item. Fighter's Belt, Magician's Top Hat, Marksman's Musket. It's too bad we unfortunately do not have Granny around anymore. Thief's Bandana, Pete's Chatterbox. This is a pretty cool instrument. And Fancy Joggers. Unfortunately, we didn't really... Well, let's see. What's the Knifey Knuckle do? It's a melee one-handed fist. It's 8 coins. It's 3 Moxie to use. Damn it. That means Quintus can't use it unless he gets another Moxie. It's 4 plus to hit, 1 damage. On a critical hit, it deals 2 damage. Okay, so it's just a pretty basic weapon, but potential to do a lot of damage if you crit with it. I don't think there is even any items that boost Moxie, unfortunately. So yeah, even if Quintus bought that, he can't even use it. Martyr's Wand, it's a ranged one-handed wand. It's 6 coins, discard an accomplished feat, deal 1 damage to a ruffian within 5 squares. That's not bad. That's actually not too bad because Quintus actually has 3 completed feats. Effectively, that is 3 damage over the course of the fight for free, essentially. I mean, to be honest, I don't really care too much about the points, especially since I'm playing by myself. So I don't really care if Quintus becomes the sheriff. He does have the most health, so maybe it is he is the best person to become the sheriff, but we won't know until we get there. Marksman's Musket we could actually potentially get with Quintus. It's 2 Moxie, 4 plus accuracy, 2 damage. It's just, yeah, does more damage than the Mugger's Bat. I mean, effectively, it does the same over the, because you can't use it every single turn. Effectively does the same, but we only have to roll once with it. Easier to hit with, and being 12 range means we can pretty much be out of range of attacks from the ruffian and keep kiting her. All right, well, as usual, I'll make a little cut here, and I'll debate on what I want to do, and we'll come back and figure out what I purchased and why. All right, we have done purchasing. It was not a great purchasing phase, to be honest, but we got some things done. Well, Quintus binged his petty theft ability triggers, which allows him to take an item worth 5 coins or less from the shop before anyone buys. The only thing we had available were the sandals. It's just, we don't really need it, to be honest. It just gives +1 movement. It's a really, really cheap item, but it's something that we can maybe discard if we need to. It's just there. I mean, it's free, so might as well, and no one else was gonna buy it. Georgie, unfortunately, just didn't have enough coins to buy anything. There wasn't really anything that was super, super great for him. I was really hoping we could find like some health or something like that, or a headpiece for accuracy. Didn't get there though, unfortunately. Yancey ended up buying the Martyr's Wand because he does have 2 accomplished feats, and worst case scenario, like, we can easily like attack with the springy wand, swap to the Martyr's Wand, and get a guaranteed damage if we need to. Like having just a guaranteed damage potentially, it can always come in handy. So yeah, overall wasn't great. There wasn't a lot. I was debating on like the Fighter's Belt potentially. Like I could have sold the basic boots with Georgie for something, but I mean, I don't know, the 3-in-1's a little bit risky, and it would be nice, like, if we do have to get rid of the 3-in-1z, having the basic boots just as a backup is always nice, and I don't think the trade-off of selling the basic boots for whatever was in the shop wasn't the best, so hopefully we're all right. Quintus also got the Marksman's Musket, though. He decided to bite the bullet and unequip his Mugger's Bat. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of hits with it, or any hits with it throughout the first 2 fights. So Marksman's Musket just utilizes his Moxie, I think, a little better, and just having someone that can move around and just do 2 damage every other turn is nice. But the nice thing about Quintus is the downside of having to reload every other turn isn't as bad for Quintus when he has the Bloody Badge ability. So on his off turns, he can swap positions with someone and get the guaranteed damage still, and still get some damage through. So that is sort of the game plan there. We're just gonna hopefully protect Quintus as he pings. We actually have a decent amount of range. Georgie can move around the board quite well, so we could actually potentially kite this next boss depending on who it is and just stay out of range of them if unless they're like someone like Virginia who's also ranged. So we'll see how it goes, but either way, that is going to do it for this town phase. Unfortunately, we did not find any health items for Georgie because yeah, one of his feats of metal is end the town phase with at least 5 max HP, which unfortunately he's only at 4 right now. So that is going to be it. So we're going to end our town phase and move on to the third fight phase. So who are we fighting? Oh, we're fighting King and Queen. Unfortunately, I've done this fight multiple times already. My least favorite ruffian I've fought so far because they just unequip your stuff. Luckily, we are going in with quite a lot of excess gear. Maybe not for Georgie. Georgie might have quite a bit of time, so we might just want to stay out of range with Georgie. But I think our ranged weapons are actually going to be pretty useful here. But yeah, you'll see why I really do not like King and Queen. But I'm going to set up the fight, and we'll just jump right into it. All right, the battlefield is all set up and ready to go. We are going to be fighting King and Queen. You can see the royalty right there, and let's see what they're all about. So they are the royal twins. King and Queen rule over the nearby territory of Biformia, a land where you pay your dues or heads go flying. Its people live in poverty while King and Queen surround themselves with repossessed riches. Even their own children found life in Biformia unbearable, leading to them running off with only a handful of coins to their name. But those were King and Queen's precious coins. Surely they didn't think this would go unpunished. King and Queen have been trailing their fugitive offspring, wreaking havoc in all towns along the way. Rumor has it those runaways settled in Eureka Springs. Time for King and Queen to make their move. Interesting. So I'm wondering actually if there's like a town event that was related to King and Queen, like coming into town and looking for their kids or something. All right, so that is King and Queen. I have done this fight before. I actually haven't done it on the Troublemaker difficulty though. I have fought them on Hooligan, and Hooligan is a bitch. So Troublemaker is whenever an action causes a townsfolk, it's crushing conquerors. Whenever an action causes a townsfolk to unequip gear, that townsfolk takes 1 damage. So you can sort of see where this is going. Hooligans was whenever you unequip a gear, you have to lower your movement, moxie, or accuracy by 1, which is also really, really bad. But taking a damage is at least like, I don't know, and I honestly feel less bad about just taking an extra damage. But still, I think our game plan of ranged weapons is actually going to be pretty useful here. I have done this fight fairly easily once when we were able to get King and Queen's movement down quite a lot through like critical hits and stuff like that. So I think our ranged weapons, we're definitely going to be on the game plan of trying to just keep Quintus alive, to just, you know, shoot them in the face, and same with Yancey. Even Georgie still has a lot of damage though, so I think we might be able to burst them fairly quickly. With 3 townsfolk, they start with 14 health and 6 movement, so they start with a little less health than Virginia. We don't have a lot of our stuff is going to be pretty difficult to get. I've set up Yancey here to potentially go get the picnic because he does have a thing for an eye for loot, so gain a piece of gear for a terrain piece for one of his feats of metal. But for Georgie, it's going to be pretty rough, but we'll see how it goes. For terrain, we have the Wishing Well right at the top there of the board. We have Deserted Picnic, like I just mentioned. Mushroom Grove is off to the side. Doc's Hut and the town, the Tool Shed is off to the right. Bear Trap is just over here, and we have the 2 dense woods. The nice thing about the dense woods as well is, funny enough, even though they're dense woods, you can shoot through them because they're a feature, so they don't block line of sight. I'm actually quite surprised they didn't write in here that you can't shoot through it, which is pretty funny. I guess the bullets curve through the woods. So that's good. So we can actually keep Quintus over here. I think we are going to try to bait them towards the bear trap if possible, because again, we want to try to get their movement down so they're a little bit easier to kite. I think that is going to be our game plan, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to have to be really careful about breaking points here because, again, that Troublemaker ability, essentially we can almost guarantee every action is going to do 2 damage to someone in that case. Luckily, we do have some gear to discard though. All right, well, let's get on with it. So King and Queen are going up first. A worthy tribute. Maybe y'all would be better off giving King and Queen what they want. Farthest townsfolk, that is going to be Georgie here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's going to be Georgie. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After effect, King and if it reaches them, deal 1 damage. So Georgie does take a damage. After effect, King and Queen loom over the target. The target may pay tribute to the ruffian by discarding a piece of owned gear. If they do, activate King and Queen's weakness and remove this card from the game. Their weakness is beneficial, benevolent rulers. King and Queen are satisfied by your tribute. Whenever an action would cause a townsfolk to unequip a specific piece of gear, they can unequip a piece. They can unequip any other piece of gear instead. Honestly, that weakness isn't like the most beneficial, to be honest. And I don't know if I want to discard. I don't know if I want to discard my basic boots. I feel like I believe there might be worse cards that force me to discard. So I think I might keep that, and I think I might just leave their weakness not affected. I might regret that. I probably will. But that is what I'm deciding, and we're gonna go with that. All right, it's gonna be Yancey's turn first. So one thing we have to be careful about is we do only start with 2 damage above the first breaking point. However, that still means we can do at least 1 damage before we move. So I think what I also might do is utilize the taunt ability to its fullest effect. Luckily, we have a lot of movement. So let's go 1, 2. So we're 4 squares away, which means we can hit with the Springy Wand for 1 Moxie. We're looking for a 4 or higher on the dice. That is an 8. That's going to be a successful hit, so that's 1 damage. The reason I didn't do the Sure Shot crossbow is because I want to leave 2 Moxie left over to use my Frantic Fighter ability. So Frantic Fighter says it's 2 Moxie to use. If the next card in the action deck targets a single townsfolk, it targets you instead. If it does not target a single townsfolk, you actually get +1 movement for the fight, and that can stack throughout the fight. So let us put a little marker on here just to remember that Yancey's ability is in effect. So we move 2, we have 4 movement left, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we can actually go 1, 2, 3, 4. And because hopefully if it's a single target, it'll try to go towards Yancey, and Yancey is now out of range of the ruffian's movement. So this is sort of, I think, how we're going to play things. We're going to try and just like use Yancey to bait King and Queen around the board while Quintus shoots them in the back. All right, it's going to be Quintus's turn. So Quintus, it is risky activating the breaking point while Georgie's still there. I think we're better off just setting up. So let us use Quintus's movement. Unfortunately, I can't swap positions with Georgie, otherwise we'll do a damage and trigger the breaking point. So let us just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and head over here. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, actually, 1, 2, 3. I'm just thinking, because if it's a single target and it moves towards Yancey, I don't want to be too far away. So let's actually go 1, 2, 3, 4. I could go into the woods and start using its ability where we can actually spend a Moxie to climb higher, which increases our range with range weapons. However, the only downside is if we get collided with, we move, we take 2 damage. We're gonna risk it for the biscuit. We might just be able to be a sniper post. So yeah, let's lose our last 2 movement to get into the dense woods because it costs 2 movement per dense wood square. We're gonna spend 1 Moxie to climb higher, so we get +2 range, so our musket now has a range of 14 rather than 12. And then it's gonna be Georgie's turn. So Georgie, I think we're just gonna get out of dodge. First things first, I'm going to use my stale cake. Might as well use it while I can to get back that health that I lost. And then we're going to use our quick trotter ability with 2 Moxie and go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're gonna use we have 5 movement left, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, And we will actually spend 2 Moxie to try and set the trap. We need a 3 or higher. That's a 2, unfortunately. And let us move 1 square over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Ooh. I should have actually moved. Well, actually, no. If it targets closest townsfolk, even though that's Quintus, yeah, he's going to go towards Yancey, so that's fine. All right, that's going to be Georgie's turn, so that is going to be it, and we are going to go to King and Queen's turn. So because Yancey's ability is activated, weakest townsfolk, so it does target a single townsfolk. No one's really injured at this point anyways, but they are going to move towards Yancey because it's a single target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does not reach them, so they don't deal damage. After effect would have been, so if we took damage, the after effect would have triggered. You need to take off some of this heavy gear. You may choose to unequip a piece of gear. If you do not, King and Queen gain +2 movement. So you can see why kiting is really, really useful, especially in this fight. It is going to be Yancey's turn. Oof, can we even outrun? I don't even know if we can actually outrun King and Queen. And also, I think we're out of range now with Quintus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, we actually aren't because of that, because we have 14 range now. It sucks because we need to trigger the breaking point at some point. I'm wondering if Yancey is the best one for that. I think what we're gonna do is I think we're gonna just get our accuracy up a little bit, or potentially. And I think we might just go for the deserted picnic. Let's see, we have 6 movement. If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is going to be another turn that King and Queen won't be able to reach Yancey. So that might actually be pretty useful. Because then we don't actually really need to use the Frantic Fighter ability because he'll still be the closest. So yeah, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let us spend 1 Moxie to use Deserted Picnic. So we're looking for a 7 or higher. That's a 9, that's gonna be a success. So Deserted Picnic is removed from the board as we eat what is left there, or find something that's left there. Something was left behind. Receive the first card from the Peddler deck worth 9 coins or less, and you may equip it immediately. So that is 13 coins, 16 coins. Oh my gosh, we're finding all the expensive gear. 4 coins, oh, it's just an old belt. It's a melee one-handed whip, 1 Moxie, 3+ accuracy, 1 damage, but if you miss with it, you deal 1 damage to yourself. So completely useless for us, because we have better weapons anyways. However, knowing what King and Queen have, it's just an extra piece of gear we can just discard that we don't really care about. So that's still fine. Plus we also get our Feat of Metal, which is an eye for loot. Gain a piece of gear from a terrain piece, and we're gonna give ourselves +1 accuracy for the fight, I think. So that'd make this, it would make our springy one hit on a 3 or higher. And every point of damage is gonna count, I think. So yeah, we'll go with that. Because you don't really need the 2 coins because we have a lot of gear we can sell if we really need money. So let us do that. Okay. So that is going to be Yancey's turn. I am going to trigger Frantic Fighter anyways, because if it's not a single target, we can potentially get an extra movement for the fight. Quintus's turn is going to be next. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 squares away. We have 14 range, because we climbed in the dense woods, so we can actually shoot with our musket. We're looking for a 4 or higher. That's a natural 1. So unfortunately, that is not gonna happen, and we have to reload with our musket. Off to a great start. I love it, I love it. And if we move, we lose our bonus, so I am not gonna move, we're just gonna stay there. It's gonna be Georgie's turn next. So Georgie is gonna try and set the bear trap again, and looking for a 3 or higher. That's a 7, so we do set the bear trap, and we're gonna move off to the side, so we'll move 2 spaces here. We could, actually Georgie does need gear, so let us go, we have 5 movement, 3, well actually from here, So we've used 1 movement. Let us spend 2 Moxie to use Quick Trotter. We've spent 2 Moxie to set the bear trap, so we have 3 left over. So we'll spend 2 of that to use Quick Trotter to go 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have our movement. We're gonna go down to the tool shed here, and it only costs 1 Moxie for the tool shed, so we can actually search that with our last remaining Moxie. And we're looking for a 6 or higher. That is a 2, no! There's a raccoon in here. It claws your eyes for 1 damage, and the tool shed can no longer be used. No. Well, that's not good. Unfortunately, learn from mistakes only triggers off of attacking the ruffian. Well, that is gonna be Georgie's turn. So then it's gonna be King and Queen's turn. Let's see if it's a single target. Weakest townsfolk it is, so it's gonna go towards Yancey, even though Georgie's the weakest one. Move towards them. If it reaches them, deal 1 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does not. After effect, they would have had to unequip their chest gear, which they actually do have, so that's good that didn't trigger. Unfortunately, we're in a position now where we won't be able to outrun them, I think. It is going to be King and Queen's turn, or sorry, it is going to be Yancey's turn. So Yancey's going to, I'm going to do this. Yancey has 6 movements, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, we can outrun them. We're gonna spend our 2 Moxie to use Frantic Fighter to make sure we're targeted if it's a single target. That's gonna end Yancey's turn. We're not gonna attack because we're gonna use Quintus, and we are going to spend 2 Moxie with Quintus because he can't shoot this turn anyways, and he's also at a range. Yeah, we only take damage if we are collided with, so we're gonna swap positions with Yancey. Bloody Badge does trigger, but no one's adjacent to Quintus, and now Quintus still has 6 movement, so we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there, and we're at a range there. And then that's gonna be Quintus's turn, so next turn we can use our musket again. All right, that is gonna be it. So then it is gonna be Georgie's turn. What do I wanna do with Georgie? I mean, we could go to the Wishing Well to potentially get that health back and potentially find an item. I mean, we might as well, right? I don't know what else is there really for Georgia to do. So we're gonna use our Quick Trotter ability to go, actually no, we can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then spend 2 Moxie to go use our Quick Trotter ability, 1, 2, 3, 4, and end up adjacent to the Wishing Well. And then we will spend 2 coins to use the Wishing Well. And we are looking for 4 to 7 heals us, 8 or higher gets us an item. That's a 9, so that luckily, we don't actually get our heal off, but we get to receive the first card from the Peddler deck worth 10 coins or less. So hopefully we get some good gear here. There's a shotgun for 15. That is gonna be 12 coins. Here's 10, Hero's Woodwind. Oh, it's a Legend of Zelda reference, it's a ocarina. Melee one-handed instrument, so unfortunately can't use it with the Dad's Head Hammer, but we can actually spend 2 Moxie to restore 1 HP to another townsfolk within 6 squares, or sorry, within X squares, where X is the number of feats you've accomplished. Well, that really sucks because we have 0 feats accomplished, so that is completely useless, but I guess it's an item that we can discard if we absolutely need to. And that is gonna be Georgie's turn. So it is gonna be King and Queen's turn. Let's see what it does. So it doesn't target us, it's humdrum speech, so targets all townsfolk within 4 squares, which is no one, but because it is not a single target, Yancey gets an extra movement for the fight, which brings him up to 7. The targets, yeah, so it doesn't hit anyone because no one's nearby. Otherwise we would have to roll on the table and potentially take damage. Then move King and Queen towards the farthest townsfolk and reshuffle the action deck. So that piece of targeting will still go towards Yancey. Well, I mean, Yancey is the farthest, but his Frantic Fighter ability wouldn't trigger for the farthest townsfolk because that is not considered the target for the action card. But they are gonna move towards Yancey because he is the furthest. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll put them there, and we'll reshuffle the action deck. So I mean, funny enough, Georgie's the only one that's taking damage, and it was because of his own foolishness in the town shed. So that's good at least, and it seems like we are able to kite fairly effectively with this team. The tricky part is just relying on Quintus to do damage, because everyone else trying to do damage is perfectly fine as long as it's not going to be triggering the breaking point, because we have to be really, really careful about that. So, all right, that is going to be it for King and Queen. So it's going to be Yancey's turn. So Yancey, do we want to eat mushrooms? We can skip our turn accidentally. If we can also potentially heal off of it. If we get a 7 or higher, we get +3 movement, which would bring him up to 10, and +1 moxie, but we lose 2 accuracy. But we're already at +1, so that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I think we'll keep it because we might need it for a clutch heal. So instead, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and start working our way and try and bait them towards the bear trap, I think. We are going to spend 2 moxie to use our frantic fighter ability. And then that's going to end Yancey's turn. So it's going to be Quintus's turn. So Quintus is going to spend his 6 movement to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're 8 squares away. We're going to fire with our musket, looking for a 4 or higher. That's a 7, so that's a successful hit, finally. And that's going to have to reload for next turn. So we do 2 damage. It's going to trigger the breaking point, our first breaking point. So let's see what action it is. Target, no target, so because it's not targeting a single person, Yancey gets another movement, so he's up to 8. So no target, it's tea time. King and Queen sip some tea and take in the lovely scenery. King and Queen are confident they'll win, no need to rush things. They turn around, move forward, and restore 2 HP. Then if there are 4 or more townsfolk on the board, trigger the after effect. Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's bad, because that heals them back above the breaking point, so that will trigger again once we get to it. All right, well, that does nothing. So it's Georgie Ironguts' turn. Georgie, oh yeah, the Wishing Well has been used because he found the item, unfortunately. So Georgie, I think, is just gonna chill. Again, we're just gonna bait them back over to the bear, or to the bear trap. And that's gonna be it. It's gonna be King and Queen's actual turn. A noble knocking. Queen slaps you upside the head with her solid gold crown. Closest townsfolk, I believe that might actually be Georgie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yeah, that is actually gonna be Georgie, which is good for us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Doesn't reach him, so it doesn't deal damage, and the after effect would have, of course, left us unequipping some gear. So it is going to be Yancey's turn. So Yancey has a whopping 8 movement now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to stand right behind the bear trap. Actually, that'd be 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's actually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go here. Actually, we can go here. The reason for that is because if we're going to be baiting them over the trap, even if they move 6 spaces this way, the bear trap causes them to lose 2 movement, so they actually won't reach Yancey then. So that'll be good for us. And then we're going to spend our 2 moxie to use Frantic Fighter. All right, Quintus has to reload, so nothing's going to happen there. Let me see, is there something else we can do? I guess we'll just move around. We'll just get ready to snipe again. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and move here. And Georgie's turn, and I think Georgie's gonna spread out a little bit. So let's go. Man, I really wish we could accomplish a feat right now. So let's go 1, 2. Actually, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll go right there. And yeah, because we know if it targets a single person, it's going to go for Yancey anyways. All right, so it's going to be King and Queen's turn. Closest townsfolk. I mean, it's going to be Yancey anyways. So move towards target. If it reaches them, deal 1 damage. However, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to land on the bear trap, which is going to deal 2 damage, which is going to trigger a breaking point. However, it does lower their movement by 2 as well, which was their last 2 remaining movement. So they can't move anymore. They take 2 damage. And they get a breaking point action after this resolve. So they don't reach Yancey, so they don't deal damage. After effect, what a powerful blow deal 1 damage to all townsfolk within 3 squares of the target. Everyone that took damage from it unequips a gear. But they get their breaking point action, which might actually end up reaching Yancey because they still have 4 movement. Target, closest, hilt bash, closest townsfolk. Move towards the target. King and Queen reach them, deal 1 damage. 2, 3, unfortunately it does. After effect, if there are 3 or more townsfolk on the board, King's, oh yeah, so it deals 1 damage. King's hit leaves your wrists battered and bruised. The target must unequip a weapon of their choice. If they did not have any weapons equipped, they take an additional 1 damage. Unfortunately, because of Troublemaker, they take an additional damage anyways. And the after effect, unfortunately, goes off regardless of if we took damage or not, so we can't use our Smithy's Apron. We can use our Smithy's Apron to prevent the additional damage, but it doesn't really matter too much. So he's gonna take 2. Oof, that's rough. Already half his health gone. And I guess we'll just unequip the sure shot crossbow. All right, well, that's the breaking point. So that was King and Queen's turn. Because yeah, that was the breaking point action. Yeah, because Sword Sweep was their actual turn. All right, so it's gonna be Yancey's turn. So Yancey could actually get out of dodge because he can use Springy Wand on himself, which moves him 10. So we could actually move 18 squares right now. I think we are going to have to do that to get out of range because King and Queen still have 4 movement. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they can't actually reach him. So before we actually get over there, we'll go 7, 6. We'll be 4 squares away to attack with our Springy Wand. So we'll spend 1 Moxie to do that. We're looking for a 4 or higher. That's a 6. That's gonna be a successful hit, so it's 1 damage. And then we can spend 2 Moxie as well to use Frantic Fighter. And we will move the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I think I had to go here. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, perfect. And we can re-equip our Sure Shot later. So that's gonna be Yancey's turn. Quintus gets to go. Quintus can shoot with his marksman's musket. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we are definitely in range, 12 range, shooting through the trees, curving the bullets, and we're looking for a 4 or higher. That's a 5. That's a successful hit. So it's 2 damage. Next point of damage is going to be the breaking point. So you got to be careful about that. So we're going to want to make sure to get Georgie out of the way before that happens. I think we're fine leaving Quintus here. He doesn't actually really need to move. Georgie, on the other hand, needs to get out of dodge. So we are going to spend 2 Moxie to move. Yeah, we're gonna spend 2 Moxie to use our Quick Trotter ability. I mean, I guess I could just trigger the breaking point potentially, because if it targets closest townsfolk or a single target, it's gonna go towards Yancey anyways, and we know that they can't reach Yancey. And we do need to do damage at some point. It's a little bit risky. But I mean, 2 damage is a lot. It would bring him down to 6. Yeah, let's do it. 1, 2, let's go 1, 2. We'll spend 3 Moxie to use Dad's Head Hammer. Looking for a 6 or higher because we have -1 accuracy. That's a 2. However, we got a 2, so that actually gets one of our feats of metal, which is learned from mistakes. If you roll a 2 or lower when attacking this ruffian, achieve this feat. So we can get +2 accuracy. I could also cash it in for 2 coins, but we're gonna go with the accuracy here. I do also have 3 Moxie left. And now that we have a completed feat of metal, I can use the hero's woodwind to heal another townsfolk within 1 square. So that might be worth equipping. I think maybe we'll save it for now. We can't get in range, I don't think, anyways, because I think I need to use my quick trotter ability to get out of dodge. So we move 2. We have 3 movement left over out of our 5, so we can go 1, 2, 3, and then I will use my last 2 Moxie to use quick trotter to move 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, just in case it targets an AoE or something. Okay, so it's gonna be King and Queen's turn, so we're gonna remove this. We are gonna see what it is. Royal Introduction. It does not target a single target, so it is gonna give Yancey another movement, so he's up to 9. Royal Introduction. King and Queen demand respect. All townsfolk within 4 squares, so luckily Yancey is just out of range because he's 5 squares away. All targets must unequip their headgear and then move towards the farthest townsfolk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. So our game plan is working out really, really well here. Yeah, if there were people around them, they would have had to unequip their headgear, then move towards the farthest townsfolk. All right, so that was King and Queen's turn. It's gonna be Yancey's turn. Yancey. So yeah, the next point of damage is gonna be the breaking point. I mean, and unfortunately, we only have 4 range on our stuff, which is just enough to be in range to be hit by the ruffian. So I think we're still gonna play the kite plan, and we're gonna spend 2 Moxie to, yeah, we're gonna spend 2 Moxie and use Frantic Fighter, just so we can force King and Queen where we want them to go. I don't think we really even need to move. And then Quintus can go next. So Quintus has to reload this turn. So I think what we're gonna do is just move away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yeah, get away from King and Queen just in case. And that's gonna end his turn, so next his musket's reloaded, so next turn we can attack with it, and it's gonna be Georgie Ironguts' turn. So yeah, I think we're gonna try again, we're gonna try to pop the breaking point with Georgie, because Yancey's ability is up, so we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And yeah, we have plus 1 accuracy now, so our dad's hit hammer hits on a 4 or higher rather than a 5 or higher. That's a 6, that's a successful hit. Even with the -1 that we had earlier, that would have been a hit. So it's 2 damage, it's gonna end Georgie's turn, and it's gonna trigger the breaking point action. So let us see what it is. Oh, Mantle Mayhem. King and Queen toss their cloak over your team. It doesn't target a single person, so Yancey maxes out his movement at 10. The 2 closest townsfolk are Yancey and Georgie. King and Queen throw their giant cloak over the targets. When it is removed, the townsfolk find themselves attached to the hit. Reduce each target's movement by 1. Doesn't really hurt Yancey at all, and it doesn't really even hurt Georgie at all because he has quick trotter, so it's not too bad. And place them adjacent to one another. So we are going to actually place, because we can choose, we're going to place Georgie adjacent to Yancey. Keep this card in front of the townsfolk. For the remainder of the fight, whenever one of those townsfolk move, place the other adjacent to them at the end of the turn. Unless knocked out, neither townsfolk can be removed from the board. So it's pretty much just to be honest, Mantle Mayhem, from what I've done in the fights, Mantle Mayhem actually can be pretty beneficial for you because it allows you to move people around really effectively in certain situations. It can also screw you over, but from what I've played, it's actually pretty good for us. And then we actually play the next card in the action deck, which could be rough. Battle Fatigue targets the weakest townsfolk, which is going to be Yancey. Move towards them. If it reaches them, deal 1 damage, but luckily they do not have 1, 2, 3, 4, the movement to reach them. And so the after effect doesn't go off, so they don't need to unequip anything. However, that was just the extra action off of Mantle Mayhem, and that was the breaking point action, so unfortunately they get their real turn, their real action now. Supreme Serenade. Queen whispers sweet nothings into King's ear. He's all fired up. Shoot. It's closest townsfolk. They do have the movement to reach Yancey. Then if there are 3 or more townsfolk on the board, trigger the after effect. There are After effect. King is invigorated and begins swinging wildly. Draw the next card from the action deck. All targets in that action immediately take 1 damage. Then that action is played. Okay, this could be a really bad turn for us. Hopefully it targets farthest townsfolk. Jealous Poke. King hates when other people flaunt their wares. Target townsfolk with the most owned gear. So I think that's... Oh, shoot, that is Yancey. Well, actually, I don't know. Quintus has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Yancey has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So actually it's going to be... Oh, wait, no. It's going to be Yancey, I think. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's actually a tie. Definitely not Georgie. So it's going to be a tie between Yancey and Quintus. Hopefully it targets Quintus. So Quintus gets Quintus gets a 9. Yancey... Oh, Yancey gets a 9 as well. Okay. It could target Quintus still. Quintus gets... a 6, Yancey. Oh, Yancey gets a 2. So Yancey automatically takes a damage because he was the target. And move towards the target. If King and Queen reach them, deal 1 damage. Shoot. I think Yancey, it's impossible for Yancey to live here. Because I can... Oh, actually, no. Well, actually, I don't know how Smithy's Apron works with abilities like this. Because what I could do is I could use Smithy's Apron to block the last point of damage. However, if there are 3 or more townsfolk on the board, you have to unequip half your gear rounded down, and that would trigger Troublemaker, which would then cause them to take an additional damage. But I don't think these are considered actions. So unfortunately, I think no matter what happens, Yancey dies. And that's really, really bad for us. All right, well, yeah, Yancey goes down because we just take the last point of damage. With all that movement, unfortunately, does not help us, and the Smithy's Apron unfortunately doesn't help. Well, at least we don't have to worry about the Mantle Mayhem anymore, which I think I accidentally put in here. Oops. So we'll take Yancey off the board. All right. Well, that is going to be King and Queen's turn, I believe, right? So many things happened there. How many cards did they end up playing? That was Battle Fatigue. No, it was... oh no, I think it was Mantle Mayhem, then Supreme Serenade, then Jealous Poke. So that was a pretty brutal turn. Well, it's no longer Yancey's turn, so it's going to be Quintus's turn. Quintus can shoot with his marksman rifle now, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can actually be here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we're going to shoot with our musket, looking for... oh, actually, because... oh, shoot, it's not Georgie. I thought Virginia's locket triggered, but nope. Oh, it's gonna be a 2. So that's gonna be a miss, unfortunately. And yeah, that's gonna be it for Quintus. So it's gonna be Georgie's turn. Georgie's gonna just try and run. So we're gonna spend... I mean, I guess we could trigger the last thing. Georgie could potentially tank, but he would probably go down to 1. Ah, man, we gotta kill them at some point, though. Yeah, we gotta do some damage. We gotta get him into a position where Quintus can at least finish them off. So, I could actually work my way towards the Doc's hut as well. So let's go 1, 2, 3. We have 4 movement. Oh, actually, we got Unshakable. If your movement, moxie, or accuracy are lowered by a ruffian action, achieve this feat. So we can get 2 moxie for the fight or 2 coins. I don't think we really need... Yeah, we don't really need the moxie. I mean, it would help us, like, equip something and then do something else, but I think we want as many coins as possible right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can use our... quick trotter ability for 2 Moxie and go another 4 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's go like this. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then use a quick trotter ability to go 1, 2, 3, 4, because that just makes it so we're not in the dense woods at all. All right, it's going to be King and Queen's turn. Stockpile swipe. Targets the closest townsfolk. Move towards them. If it reaches them, deal 1 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4. After effect. Your spareware slip from your pockets and into King and Queen's hands. Discard 1 piece of stash gear if possible. If starting gear was discarded, play the next card in the action deck. So you can see why having extra items in your stash is really, really useful against them. But luckily they don't do damage to us, so that after effect does not go off. It's going to be Quintus's turn, so Quintus can't do anything other than swap positions, but we can run around. I think we're going to try to run around and get to the dock set so we can maybe revive Yancey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, sorry, we only have 6 movement. So let's go there. And then it's going to be Georgie's turn. So Georgie is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or sorry, 4, and then we're going to spend 2 Moxie to use Quick Trotter to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and end there. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, King and Queen's turn. Royal Dispute. King and Queen seem to be bickering with each other. A lover's quarrel, perhaps. All townsfolk within 2 squares, that's nobody. All targets take 1 damage, move King and Queen towards the farthest townsfolk. It's going to be Georgie, 1, 2, 3, 4. After effect, your gears come loose. Unequip 2 pieces of gear amongst all targets, divided as the targets choose, but that is going to be nobody. All right, it's going to be Quintus's turn. So Quintus, I think, is going to, now that we can actually shoot with our musket this turn, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we are going to shoot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, definitely in range. We're going to fire and looking for a 4 or higher. That's a natural 10. And because it's a natural 10, we finally got Cocky Marksman, which is land a critical hit. So we can get 3 coins or +1 accuracy for the fight. I am gonna get the +1 accuracy. We don't have any coins, but I think it might come down to like really making sure we hit with the marksman's musket. So we got 2 damage. Oh, this is gonna be rough. So it triggers a breaking point. But we do get to still roll on our critical hit table. That's another natural 10. Holy moly. So that means we actually get the unique gear that's with a star from the Ruffian, which is going to be Queen's Bell, which unfortunately I don't think is going to be something that we can really use, but hey, it's something we can sell since we are pretty low on money. Queen's Bell. It is going to be a melee one-handed instrument. It's 2 Moxie, 5+ accuracy to use, 1 damage. When any townsfolk whiff, which is a natural 1 for attacking, it counts as a hit. So that's a really, really good item. If we can find a good melee weapon to combine with that, that'd be great. I mean, I can use it with the Mugger's Bat, but well, actually we could use it with the Mugger's Bat if we wanted to, but I really don't want to be in range. So then it's going to trigger the breaking point action for King and Queen. Humdrum Speech. All townsfolk within 4 squares, that's going to be nobody. And then, yeah, so they would have to roll and add their accuracy to not take damage, then move King and Queen towards the farthest townsfolk and reshuffle the action deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this could be pretty bad because we have to reshuffle the action deck. I don't know if we reshuffle Mantle Mayhem back in. It doesn't say like it gets discarded after someone dies or something. So I think we just leave it out. Yeah, because I don't think it would. I feel like it would specify maybe. Unless knocked out, neither townsfolk can be removed from the board. Yeah, it doesn't really say. It just says keep this card in front of the townsfolk, so I think we just leave it. All right, that is going to be it for that. So that was a breaking point action, so it's going to be Georgie's turn now. That's actually pretty bad because now 1, 2, 3. Now King and Queen are in range. However, that was the last breaking point, so maybe we just go. We want to make sure that if they draw the heal card, they don't heal above the breaking point. So we actually do want to try to hit with the Dad's Head Hammer. So let us use our quick trot ability to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll spend our 4 movement to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're gonna use our last 3 Moxie to attack with our Dad's Head Hammer. We have +1 accuracy, so hitting on a 4 or higher. That's an 8, that's a successful hit, so that's 2 damage. And yeah, it's gonna be King and Queen's turn, but yeah, luckily, yeah, that's good. Good for us. Battle Fatigue, weakest townsfolk, that is gonna be Georgie. Move towards them. If it reaches them, deal 1 damage. Unfortunately, Georgie does take a damage. After effect, you need to take off some of this heavy gear. The target may choose to unequip a piece of gear. If they do not, King and Queen gain +2 movement. I think at this point, oof, that's actually pretty risky, because we are gonna get them back up to 6 movement then. So it's gonna be a lot more difficult to outrun them, and Quintus is not gonna be able to attack with his musket next turn. But do I want Georgie to take another damage? Because he can't heal himself with the Hero's Woodwind. Oof. That is rough. I think we have the movement with Georgie though, because he can actually move 8. So we can still potentially outrun King and Queen. So I think we won't unequip something, and so that won't deal us an extra damage from the Troublemaker ability. But they'll get +2 movement. We only need to hit them once with either the Dad's Head Hammer or the musket. So that is fine. All right, well, that's it. So it's gonna be Quintus's turn. So we could do 1 guaranteed damage. And Quintus has a lot of health, so maybe he just swaps places to get a guaranteed damage in, and we just like tank. Yeah, let's do that. So let's actually swap positions. Spend 2 Moxie to swap positions with Georgie. And our Bloody Badge will trigger, so we deal 1 damage to all adjacent targets, or all adjacent characters. Brings them down to 1, and then we can use our... Then we'll actually just stay there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or do we move still? No, I think we just stay there just to make sure that Georgie doesn't have a risk of potentially getting hit with something. So yeah, let's do that. So that's gonna be Quintus's turn. So Georgie, well, Georgie could actually end it here. Cause yeah, we have 4 movement, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are hitting on a 4 or higher. That's a 3, so that is gonna be a miss, unfortunately. So let's just spend our last 2 Moxie to use Quick Trotter to go 1, 2, 3, 4, just in case it targets closest. All right, well, it's gonna be King and Queen's turn. A Noble Knocking, closest townsfolk, move towards them. If it reaches them, deal 1 damage, so Quintus does take a damage. After effect, the hit leaves your ears ringing. It's hard to concentrate. The target must unequip a piece of gear of their choice. I think at this point we can just unequip Boot Topper. And because we unequipped a piece of gear, we have to take another damage. But that is perfectly fine. All right, so it is gonna be Quintus's turn. So Quintus can actually shoot with the musket now. So we are going to just attack, right? Point blank in the face. We're looking for a 3 or higher. That's a 4, and that's gonna be a sniper shot straight to the face of King and Queen. And that is gonna be it for them. And we actually got Survivor for Quintus, which is take 2 or more damage in a single turn without being knocked out. So we'll get 2 coins for that. All right, that is gonna be the fight. Unfortunately, Yancey did go down, but Yancey played his part perfectly. That taunt ability is extremely useful. You sort of got an idea of how important it is to potentially manipulate movement for fights that you know what their game plan is sort of. Because if you are constantly trying to get into range of King and Queen and trying to punch them and outrace them, their breaking point actions are gonna just run you over because they're gonna unequip your gear plus do extra damage. So overall, that fight went a lot better than I thought it would. Luckily, our game plan went perfectly exactly as we planned. And yeah, that is gonna be it for King and Queen's fight. A little bit longer of a fight, but we definitely had some things to think about for sure. There are definitely some key choices to make in that fight, even though our game plan was pretty solid. So yeah, we are gonna get 6 coins for everybody, even Yancey. Unfortunately, Yancey did not get any of his feats of metal completed. And Georgie got 2, and so did Quintus. So they're gonna roll off to see who gets the gear. So Georgie gets a 4. Quintus gets a 7, so Quintus gets the gear. Man, George is just getting screwed over. Quintus has too much gear. We have like so much gear for Quintus that I don't even know what to do with it. Hopefully we get a really good shop next turn. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Hopefully we get a shop next turn, like a really good shop setup, because yeah, that's gonna be pretty important. So we already got the unique piece of gear from the critical hit, so we get only a choice of 2 here. We get King's Claymore and Royal Mantle. King's Claymore is really, really strong, but very few people can actually use it effectively. So this is why I wish Georgie got it, because Georgie actually has the Moxie to use it, because it costs 4 Moxie to use, but it's 3 damage weapon with a 5 up to hit, which isn't too bad. We also have Royal Mantle, which is a chest piece, which actually wouldn't be a bad idea for Quintus to get, because it gives +1 max HP, and he doesn't have a chest piece yet. We can also spend 1 Moxie to essentially pull someone adjacent to us, so I really hope we get that. So let us give that a little bit of a shuffle. So yeah, that fight went really well. I'm pretty stoked with how that fight went. I think getting someone that ranged weapon, even if it's not Granny, the Marksman's Musket is a pretty damn good weapon, just for the range, because you're pretty much out of range out of all the ruffians, which is pretty nice. But the Granny would of course make that the best weapon, because she would always be hitting on anything but a 1. All right, we're gonna. Hey, we did get the mantle. Nice. Perfect. Okay, so that means we have +1 max HP, so that means you have total of +3 max HP, which brings us up to 7, thanks to all the combination of our gear, the Craggy Trousers plus the Royal Mantle. And that is gonna be it. That is gonna be fight number 3. So we're making our way. Next fight is gonna be the big one. It's gonna be the final fight. Hopefully it's for a ruffian that I haven't fought yet and haven't got the special objective yet, because that way it will unlock some gear for the future run. So hopefully you'll join us for that fight. Thank you again so much for watching. If you've made it all the way through these videos, I really do appreciate you watching. It's gonna be, even after this run, there's gonna be more Townsfolk Tussle to watch. I'm definitely looking forward to making multiple runs of this game, and we'll probably do maybe like a Townsfolk review, do a tier list or something like that. So I have some things planned that I want to do with this game, and then might incorporate some of the other board games that I have, and show some of those off. I also do want to make a board game collection video, just showcasing my board game shelf and talking a little bit about tabletop role-playing games as well. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter if you want to keep up to date on all things me, and of course give the channel a subscription, and I will see you for the final fight.